So my name is Remona Johnson, and my parents are from India. So today I will be cooking an Indian dish called chana, which is a chickpea dish. So I'm just about to turn my stove on to medium heat. And I have about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half of vegetable oil already in my pot here. Put it on the stove, and we're going to just start our chana dish with frying up some onions and getting the spices together. This is called tarka. I am Canadian, but my parents are from India, and I was born in England. So I associate with being Indian. I was only in England for 3 years, but mostly grew up in Saskatchewan, Canada. So very Canadian, but still try to keep some of the culture of India with my family. So ironically, being in England for the first 3 years of my life, I actually only knew the language Hindi, which is what my parents spoke. So I do know that I was taught by a family friend that we met, like good friends of ours who lived on a farm in Saskatchewan. Okay, so we have some onions, which I've pre-chopped up. I'll put those in. And just wait for it to heat up. And then it wasn't until I was able to move out of the small town of population of 1,200 people and go on to Saskatoon, where I realized, oh, there are more people like me and I'm not alone, and it's a bigger city, so there are more people with things in common with me, and I can expand on my culture and learn more. So for now, just onions in there, but some spices are going to come in. Vegetable curry mix. And I have this is just curry spice, so you can buy that from anywhere. I buy a big bag and put it into a small jar. And it looks like we're starting to heat up a little bit here. If you hear the onions frying, then you're pretty good to go. We have a Hindu temple in St. Thomas now, recently opened, so that's good because for my son especially, so I'd like to expose him to both sides, and it was kind of hard to do that when there's a lot of Catholic churches in St. Thomas, but London was the closest Hindu temple, so we weren't getting there as often as I wanted to. And being second generation Indian, you don't keep as much as you should probably, or as much as they wanted you to keep for ceremonies and rituals and traditions. But I'm trying my best to teach my son that this is what the Hindu culture is about, and showing him both sides, the Catholic faith and the Hindu faith.
So it's just onions and spices?
And spices, that's it.
Water? Or
Not yet, no, because you want a really concentrated spice mixture so that will go straight into the chickpea. You will dilute it later because we're going to add salt. Actually, that's a good point. I forgot salt. I'm going to put my chickpeas from a can. Traditionally, you would use real chickpeas and boil those up really good. But this is a lot easier. See how they're turning yellow? That's all the good spices getting in there. Then, a cup of water, because that's going to make your curry. If there's no water, you're just going to have dry chickpeas, but you want to make a nice curry with it, and basically just let it simmer. So I will turn the heat down a little bit, not to low, but just a little bit less than medium, and it's going to have to sit like that for about half an hour. What I've noticed from Indian cooking is it depends on the region you're from. And if you talk about a certain dish, people might say, oh, I've never heard of that dish. So it can depend on where you're from, or it can just depend on whatever you cooked at home, whatever your mom taught you. It's important to recognize that the dishes that you make will be prepared differently by different families. There's no one set recipe. Even what I was referring to as the tarka will be different from different families. You might have a darker tarka. They might caramelize onion. So I'm just squeezing some lemon over top. Adds a little bit of that something in that chickpea dish. All right, so here we have our chana dish, garnished with raw onions and some lemon slices. And we will be serving this with roti and naan. That was kind of our staple dish growing up. That was something that my mom would cook, and now this is something that she's passed on to me, and this is something that I hope to pass on to my son and carry on for generations, our chana dish from the Basur Johnson family. lemony.